Hello, let's recap episode 2 of season 46 of Survivor. I'm Kathy Ellen. I am a reader, a teacher, a parent, a ninja warrior athlete, and someone who wants to be on Survivor and someone who loves talking about Survivor. So let's get into it. I took better notes this time. If you watched my last one, which I'll put up here, it was kind of all over the place. So I'm going to go through like the episode and talk about different things. I set my timer for 20 minutes. I am not going to use that much time because I'm tired and I need to get to bed. First of all, the image on Paramount Plus of the people on Jeff's shoulder, my husband and I were like, what is going on? They're very creative with these images of Jeff and the players, but the people are like climbing up Jeff's shoulder. It was cool and weird at the same time. I think I'm landing a little more on weird, but definitely was a cool idea. Like, I'll give you that. How do you feel about recaps? I love recaps because I feel like it's pointing you toward what you should be looking for. And that's the reason that I know a lot of people don't like them, because they don't want their memory of the last episode to be manipulated, or they don't want to feel like they're being manipulated into looking for something in the current episode. But I personally love recaps. So we head to Yanu and I'm like, Bhanu, you're too straightforward and that is going to come back to bite you. I think being straightforward is great, but sometimes you have to know when to rein it in. And Kenzie, they've got to be onto her, right? She had that epic video montage of taking a mental break, which I am all for, but I was like, are we seeing a commercial for Kenzie right now? Like, what is happening? This is like high quality footage. I love seeing the intro. I love the action shots. And I was wondering if there's going to be something that changes every time, like there was in last season's intro. So I'll be interested to keep an eye on that in the future. I love Nami doing the challenges talk about like, okay, here's the challenge, and making it more and more impossible. I thought that was really fun banter for them to come up with, and cool, like showing what life is like in the camp sort of scene. I felt so bad for Venus not being heard. That is so difficult. And I feel like this is just a tribe that's really hard for her to be on. And I think that's part of the luck of Survivor, is where you get placed. I know they place people because they think that personalities will clash or they will get along. I'm really feeling for Venus right now that this tribe is not going to work out for her. So then we head over to Siga, and Ben is making the fire, and he cried, which I think is great. Let those emotions out. I was cracking up that he didn't cry when he met Nicolas Cage. I was like, I need the backstory of that. But I am glad that we got Ben's backstory, and the message of like, you got to find your thing kind of came across. And I think that's a really valuable message that everyone can use, and advice that can help anyone. And so far we've got Ben and Soda who have made fire, if we're keeping track of like who's made fire for down the road. I really liked the Charlie and Maria thing. I thought that was very smart of Charlie to notice that he was on the bottom of the Charlie's Angels Alliance. And I think it's a great idea to have a ride or die. And I'm sure that many other Survivor fans loved the Denise and Malcolm throwback as well. I think whenever they can put in like that old footage, they love it. I was waiting for them to do the same thing. That would have been maybe too perfect, but I think it's a really smart move for both of them, because I don't know if anyone would honestly see them as a pair, and not just because of their ages, just, I don't know. They're not the first two people that I would think were working together. So I think that could be really helpful for them going forward. And yay, I wanted somebody else to find an idol, and Randen found it. And immediately I was like, this man will throw a challenge. So I was hoping that he would throw the challenge and then he would get the idol sooner. Then we hop back to Yanu and we hear more from Jess. I do really like her attitude of like, it doesn't really matter what they think. I have people at home who love me. I have all these people who know the real me and like me for it. And I agree with that. I think that's good to keep on the inside when you're having like a hard time. But on Survivor, it does really matter what the people around you think, because they're voting for you to either leave or they're in your alliance and they want you to stay. So that's why I had a little bit of difficulty with that, because I was like, you do care. Like, it's good that in real life you don't care, but you have to care here, even if that's not how you would feel in your real life. The Siga song challenge, I could have done without it. I understand why we needed to see more Siga, because we need to see some of each tribe. We don't just want to see two specific tribes, because then that's going to give us a heads up potentially that one of them is going to be going to tribal council. But I was bored throughout that entire thing. And I even like Taylor Swift. I thought they did a good job of like bringing up the drama and cutting it to make it the most interesting it could be, but it just was not that interesting. I understand it's camp life, and I understand that camp life can be boring sometimes, but I don't want to see the boring parts on TV. I think after that I was like, can we please go to the challenge? Are we at the challenge yet? Where is the challenge? I feel like there was a missed opportunity, because we cut from Ben saying, I just love all these people, and we go to Nami and I'm like, perfect. They're going to go to Venus, who's going to be like, I can't get along with any of these people. But they go to Liz, which I understand because we hadn't heard from Liz. And we got more of the like, she doesn't need the money. And I think that's great. I think the reason that she's there to win, not for the money. She's got all the right reasons in her heart. And I also feel like people want to give money to people who need money. Like if it comes down to the very end and Liz is sitting there with two other people, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to give give her the money if they know she already has so much and she's talking so much about how she doesn't need the money? I think she's thinking like, oh, this is showing that I'm like really here for the right reasons, but I think it might be turning off people who are there for the money. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens with that. I think there's going to be more money talk in the future if it's coming up so soon. The Randen and Venus alliance. It's giving me Emily and Caleb vibes. Not the exact same people, but like the idea that you didn't think these people were going to work together and then all of a sudden they were. I think it's smart for both of them. Poor Venus, she's got nobody. And I think Randen can kind of see that. He sees that people are discounting Venus, and that's a good person to be in an alliance with, I think. So I'm excited to see what they do going forward. Finally, we get to the challenge. Oh my goodness, the Jelinski jokes. Those were kind of brutal. I was surprised they were so shocked. You heard me last week, or if you didn't, you can click on it here, say that I didn't think they were going to be shocked that Jelinski went out. But I also wonder if it's just like, oh, because they got like a tall man out and we need strength in these challenges. We see how many times women go out, but women are also so strong. If ever I'm on Survivor, I pledge not to be shocked when a man goes out. I might just do like a little smirk. You can cut to me and I'll be like, yeah. No, I don't think I'll be that mean, but like, it's just interesting to me. Maybe any person who left, there would have been a shocked face, but like they knew someone had to go. And I wonder if that's why all the jokes were coming out too, because I feel like one of the things when you go on Survivor is that you really don't want to be the first one out. Sorry, Jelinski. It's still an accomplishment to get on Survivor for sure. Okay. Like you did a great job and you had fun. I think, I don't know. I hope getting that off your shoulders of like, oh, I'm not going to be the first one out. Like maybe brought up some of those jokes and things like that. Like people were trying to just make it light and deal with their feelings about it that way. But I think that's the first time that we've seen like jokes when the first person got voted out. So that was a little weird. And speaking of brutal, I love that Jeff just took his knife and he's like, cut that headband off the little community idol. That brought back some of the knife vibes from last season when he cut the rice. Like Jeff is just always ready for that stuff. So that was amazing. Some good levity. The challenge overall, absolutely loved it. I love the cart to the dig to the like maneuver through the things. Thought it was really smart that people were moving all the things out of the way instead of just having like two people stand there with the cart, like get everyone to move out of the way and then move the cart all the way through. The puzzle, that looks so difficult. When I saw the pieces, I was like, why are there two different colors? And then I thought, oh no, they have to do it on both sides. And an arch like that, like you really have to hold and push. And I did not envy them. I heard Jeff say this could scrape off your face. And my husband was like, no, it's scrape up your face. And I was like, okay, that's a lot better because I don't want any faces scraped off. Like that would be horrible. And I was excited that they all three got to the puzzle at pretty much the same time. My money was on Orange to win right at the beginning. And I picked out the sit outs right at the beginning. You can ask my husband. He will not come on camera because he doesn't like doing that. But you know, if ever you see him, you can be like, did Kathy Ellen pick this stuff? And he'll tell you yes. The comic relief of the sit outs, just talking to each other, like that was so funny. I love that. That brought in some levity, like just at the right time. And then my daughter was like, they look exactly alike. So I thought that was kind of fun too. But anyway, we get to the puzzle and then Nami having the letter wrong was so heartbreaking because you can't just like switch it, right? I mean, maybe you could, but that looked impossible. And then the Yanu tribe having the P like the wrong way, we were yelling at the screen. And I realized that it's not as easy to see that when you're out there, heat of the moment, all that. I give them all the credit. Well-timed commercial break. And then they came back with all the epic slow-mo. That was so good. Nami gets it like I predicted. And then Siga gets it. And I felt so bad for Yanu. They were trying their best. Things were just not coming together, even though they were pretty close. And then when was it Nami or Siga that was saying, it took all of us. We all had to work together hard on this. And they cut to Tiffany. I was like, oh, that is so hard to hear because you know that Yanu was working as hard as they could and it still wasn't enough. Like it's really hard to hear when someone else is saying like, we did it all together. And you're thinking like, we were doing it. We just didn't do it as fast. I thought that Tiffany handled that sort of after challenge interview from Jeff very well. And Jess too, that they kind of said a little bit of what they were thinking, but they didn't want to say anything that was going to get them in trouble in front of the other tribe or give away anything in front of them. And also just like, yeah, keep those emotions in because I just think that's for the best. At this point, I'm thinking it's either Jess or Kenzie because we've got a lot of both of them up to this point in the episode. So when we head to Nami, my eyes are just on that fishing manual. I think it is so freaking cool. Like that it's an actual book and it has like a wood cover. I was a little upset and I hope this was just an opportunistic edit that when Venus was saying like, you know, you guys ran into me. I was telling you to stop. You weren't listening. That Tevin was kind of laughing that she was hurt. That's what it seemed like. Like I said, editing could make it look like anything, but I hope that's not the case. I can understand not getting along with someone, but I don't know if I would ever laugh that somebody got hurt, especially if they're on your tribe. And I felt for Venus right there. She didn't want to get run over. She was trying to talk to them and she's again not feeling heard, which is very frustrating. I feel like this is building up for an epic like Venus as a villain, like flipping story down the line because she is not happy there. We see Soda as the glue that's trying to hold, Nami together a little bit, but it's really hard, I think, to get Venus to gel with those other players. Then Yanu is going back after the challenge, and the music, I'm like, am I gonna start crying right now? Oh my goodness, the whole fake idol thing. That was entertaining to watch. Poor Jess, she couldn't find it. I love that they switched to Q handing it over to Jess, and he did an amazing job selling it to her, even telling her to her face that it was a real idol. I love that she was looking at all the beads and being like, these look really similar. This is kind of sketchy. So I felt like some of her gameplay really came out then. All right, I have so many notes about Tribal. I'm just going to go to my original notes. You might see me looking down a little bit here, but it's because I have a lot of thoughts. Going into Tribal, I was like, is Jess going home or is Kenzie going home? And I really felt for Q because I felt like it was his decision. He didn't want to do Kenzie if Tiffany wasn't on board, but I feel like Kenzie would have been the better move. And I understood why he was hesitant to do it, because that would mean he had to have Jess and Bhanu on his side definitively. And if he didn't have them on his side and he was the only one who voted Kenzie, he would have been out with Kenzie and Tiffany when he got back to the tribe, and it really would not have been good. He could have elevated himself to the number one person to get voted out. They could have just been like, whatever, we're going to keep losing challenges. We don't care. We don't want this person with us that was going to vote us out. So it was a little tricky. And I think ultimately Q made the right decision, because going into Tribal, I was thinking, I don't know if Q can trust Jess and Bhanu. And boy, was I right. Bhanu, he was doing a lot at Tribal Council. And I understand that he thought he was getting voted out. Like, he told Jess earlier, it's between you and me, right? So you got to do what you got to do to save yourself. But I didn't know if that was going to be something where they just switched to voting him out. And then when he turned to Kenzie and was like, what are we doing? I was like, Bhanu, what are you doing? Like, if Q had any little shred of like, maybe I can do this, when he saw what happened with Bhanu, he was like, absolutely not. That man is going to vote for whoever just so he's not out of here. And he knew that Jess was the other one. He was going to vote for Jess. Like, guaranteed he was going to vote for Jess. You could see it in Q's face. He was like, oh. I think Q also knew that if Jess played that idol and came back, that she would not be friends with Q. Even if Q voted for Kenzie and Bhanu voted for Kenzie and Jess voted for Kenzie, Jess was likely to play the idol because she was a little scared. And then it would have been fake and she would have been like, what the heck, Q? Then Q might not have even had Jess at the end of all that. So again, I think Q made the right decision. Like, I really wanted him to try to go for Kenzie because I think Kenzie is an awesome player, but I understood why that could potentially blow up his game. And then Bhanu doing his stuff. That was hard to watch. Like, I understood again why he was scrambling, but that was hard to watch. So Jess plays the idol. It's fake. She has a little laugh with Q. I felt good that she had that little laugh. She was probably so sad inside, but like, I felt like it was a good sport little laugh. And then Bhanu, like the one vote for Bhanu and he's got his bag on his shoulder. I was like, Bhanu, slow your roll, man. And then all the rest of them are for Jess, and he took it off and he's like, I feel like a fool. Yeah, you should feel like a fool. And I feel like Bhanu is on the chopping block next. Like, even if he already wasn't because he's not in the core alliance, like him being so wild, I don't even want to say emotional. I'm glad that people are emotional. Like, everything was just really heightened, and I understand why he would feel that way, but like, you can't show that. I'm glad that Jess got to play Survivor. I think she had a fun time. Sounded like she did. I wonder if it's just the tribe that she ended up on, or not starting the gameplay as early as she wanted to. I do this before I watch any other interviews, so I don't know if any of that came up. I feel like she did as good as she could do, and I don't know if Survivor was like the right fit for her, unfortunately. So then the preview didn't really give me anything to go on. I felt like it was too short, and we just have to see in the next episode. So again, what do I want in the next episode? I want to see another tribe go to Tribal, preferably Nami, because I think that'd be interesting. We have an idol there, we have sort of a villain there, or someone that a lot of people don't like, which could set up for a really good blindside if everyone thinks they're voting for Venus and then they vote for somebody else. And we saw nothing about Siga in the preview, so are we gonna have another like camp life thing at Siga? Is Siga just gonna like coast along and we're just gonna get these little tidbits from them? Because I feel like that's what happened this episode. But we'll see. I'm hoping to watch this one when it actually comes out. Fingers crossed. Until next time, happy Survivor watching.